Hi everyone, welcome back to Live Darts. We're here at the Citywest in Dublin and we've got former champion of the world, John Part. John, it's been some tournament so far, hasn't it?
So many really close matches on paper, and a lot of them have given us upsets of a sort. Some were really upsets, I guess, because the underdog was kind of a real favorite themselves. Menzer couldn't get past another tough draw this year. Last year he put out James Wade. This year Rob Cross gets him. So there's an attrition rate at this tournament, and I like it. It's down. I think they used only the 8 seeds rather than 16 like at the match play, and I think it really adds an extra dimension. It's fun.
The first round, as you said, is brutal and no seed is safe here, are they?
Not at all. As I said, there are only 8 seeds per se, but I think just talking colloquially, a seed as a top player, there's a lot of top players had some really nasty business. I mean, you look up and down the draw, it's hard to find a quote-unquote weak game. There aren't many opportunities in there aside from play your best and win.
Out of the seeds and non-seeds that have gone through, who really caught your eye after the first round?
Well, Nathan Aspinall did a good job, nice solid job. I just hope he doesn't, I hope he can shut out the other factors. He had his points distracting him and the cameras seemed to be bothering him a little bit. But yeah, he seems so comfortable other than that. And even with the distraction, to look that comfortable, I think that's a real positive.
First time we saw on Twitter as well, there's not been a 95 plus average in the first round. Why do you think that is?
I think it's down to, it's harder to play. Sometimes we talk about when you can feed off of a good player and you have both players really getting in a groove, but that's more in a straight start situation. With the double in, you're just always susceptible to that failure. You know it in the back of your head, and you're just hoping if you have a lead to just keep hitting that double in. And so many times we've seen it where there's a lead and all of a sudden a guy can't get in.
Going to go on to more generic stuff now. First half of the year, what have you made about the crop of 2019 and what we've seen so far?
I like a lot we've seen. We saw Ratowski go out. I think he's one of the brightest spots I've seen in the year. I like him. He's kind of followed in Menzer Sulovic's footsteps a little bit in my mind, where he was at one time just a very solid player, could beat anybody. But now he's taking that next step, winning some titles here and there. And certainly that changes the dimension when you add another player like that in there. And well, of course, he had Glenn, and what a tough game that was. And Glenn had to work so hard. He didn't look spectacular at all, but a very professional, business-like win for him to get to the second round.
For the PDC, in terms of territories, Eastern Europe is a hotbed as it's emerging. Is it important that people like Ratowski kick on like they have done to bring on the sport in that region?
Well, I'm not too intimately familiar with that sort of area. Germany, it seems like there's a great fan base in any case. I'm not sure how the logistics are in Eastern Europe there. I'd imagine, yeah, it has to help when you have somebody to follow and you can have a hero and you want to follow for the kids who are going to be the next generation. They get practicing and they see someone can actually do it from there. And I think that's important, that there's a role model.
I know when we were speaking at the match play, you were slightly concerned about Michael van Gerwen's form. Put it right in the World Series by winning back-to-back. Did he need that?
Well, I think there's a little pressure off there. There's more of there's a lot of the talent's all there. It's all top players, but with all the travel and everything else, you have to be so professional to be the best of the lot on a given weekend in the World Series events. Very difficult. So he'll be happy he did that, but I think it's still just a different thing when you're playing major ranked events because that's where people really will say something and like they'll hold you accountable as world number one anyway. Probably the top 4 in the world are all held very accountable to play like top 4 in the world. And if they don't, there's plenty of people that speak out about it and ask questions.
Again, World Cup this year, you had to watch Canada for the first time. What was that like, watching your country play and not be involved in the World Cup?
It was strange. It was a bit of a relief. Not that we hadn't had much luck when I was playing in there much, and maybe this year either, really. But I was really impressed. Jim's performance was great. His first appearance there, nice and steady. But I was particularly happy how Dawson stood up and really took advantage of situations, used the experience he's had, because he wasn't really up to that point in the year having a very good year. wasn't performing maybe to the level averages wise, and from what I'd seen, he wasn't having that kind. But he turned up at the World Cup, and boy, he played really well. He did us proud, and then Jim and Dawson got the top 8, which is I think as good as as far as I ever got. I think Ken McNeil and I did that a few years ago, but certainly I think Canada can do better than that. We just haven't quite had the luck somehow or the other.
In terms of your own game, where is it at the moment? Are you going to go back to Q School this year, or are you hanging on? Because a lot of people always ask, is John Part still around playing?
No, I don't quit. As long as I'm able to go, and I will, I'll go play. I like it. I enjoy that. I enjoy, as hard as it was, like last year there was 400 spots in the UK, and 20 spots for 400 entries, so 1 in 20. Pretty tough, tall order, but that makes it fun. It makes it interesting.
Do you still enjoy the game as much as you always did?
Well, yeah. When I'm playing well, you always get frustrated if you don't do what you want to do. It's simple as that. But you try and work and put it right. And the further I get distance-wise from being at that top level where I was, sort of more and more pressure off my shoulders, and I can play with more freedom. So I try to use that. So
you've been to the very top of the sport. What's it like now from when you were at the top? Is it leagues apart, or is it?
It's all perspective, isn't it? Now I look and I see like the top 50 guys in the world all look really good to me. Is that because they are all really good, or is it because I'm not world number 2 or 3? When you're looking down and you think, well, I'm better than all those guys. It's a perspective issue, so it's really hard for me to say. I have to say, yes, the standard has gone up, but competitively, head to head, the spirit, the intensity, the really good winners mentalities. Only so many guys can have that, and I'm not sure that it's much different in that capacity. Definitely, the overall skill level of the game has gone up, but yeah, you can't skate through too easily. You have to play a certain standard these days. That's for sure.
We're losing a lot of the legends of the game at the moment as well. Obviously, Phil, 18 months, Raymond this year. Are we in a transitional period where the stars of tomorrow are now going and it's down to the young breed to come through and take it up?
Well, yeah, we have been since the 90s. All our original legends have slowly disappeared, and I guess Phil may be the last of that lot properly. It's now there's another turnover, and I think it's continual and ongoing, and there's certain guys that might stay the course and have super long careers, like James Wade or potentially Adrian Lewis, the guys that have been in there since they were teenagers and they're in their 30s now, and there's, the only thing holding them back from continuing is desire and form, and so I think we could see something we've never seen, the super long career, if there's someone that wants to do it or is capable.
Going to touch on the BDO and a bit Lakeside as well. We've lost the famous venue that you played at, BDO moving to pastures new at the O2. What's your take on the whole situation, the fact that we've lost the home of darts almost from the calendar now?
Well, I think everything has to grow and change eventually. It's a bit sad. I don't know, is it a permanent thing? Will there be some other event maybe at that venue in the future? I mean, we look at Alexandra Palace. It was the home of the News of the World Championship, and then it was gone for a long time, and lo and behold, PDC World Championships there now. So there might be bigger and better things in store for the venue. Who knows?
John, it's an absolute pleasure catching up with you here in Dublin. Thanks very much for taking time out to speak to Love Darts.